What if I told you that sometimes the biggest victory isn't winning another award, it's staying at the very top, week after week, month after month, until people begin to wonder, how is this even possible? Because while most records eventually come to an end, one record just keeps refusing to stop growing. And at the exact same time, another achievement is quietly proving that BTS isn't simply enjoying a successful comeback, they're rewriting what global longevity looks like. Today, we're talking about two incredible stories happening at once. One belongs to Jin alone, the other belongs to BTS as a whole. And together, they reveal something much bigger than charts. They reveal a level of loyalty that only a handful of artists in history have ever experienced. Let's begin. For nearly an entire year, every single week, fans have been asked the same question. Who deserves to be number one? And for 58 consecutive weeks, the answer has never changed. Kim Seokjin. Once again, Jin finished first in the Idol Pick Weekly Male Idol voting, this time with an astonishing 50,986 votes. But here's what makes this even more impressive. He didn't just win the male category, he also finished number one across every single weekly category. That means among all participating artists, all fan bases, all categories, Jin still received the highest support. Think about that for a moment. 58 weeks. That's not a lucky streak. That's not temporary popularity. That's consistency, dedication, and perhaps most importantly, a fan base that never gets tired of showing up. Every single week, they vote again. Every single week, they prove the same point. And somehow the momentum keeps getting even stronger. But the story doesn't stop there. Another voting event, the LED screen support poll, also ended with Jin comfortably in first place. He collected more than 102,000 picks, enough to earn a giant outdoor advertisement displayed on one of Seoul's massive LED screens, right across from Lotte Avenue in Myeongdong. Imagine walking through one of Korea's busiest shopping districts, looking up, and seeing Jin's face towering above the crowd. Thousands of people passing every day, tourists, locals, fans, even people who know nothing about BTS, all seeing the result of one thing, pure fan dedication. And perhaps the most beautiful part? These aren't achievements created by expensive marketing campaigns. They're powered by people, ordinary fans, people voting after work, students voting between classes, parents making time during busy days, millions of tiny moments coming together to create something enormous. That's the power of fandom. But while Jin continues collecting individual milestones, something equally remarkable is happening on the global stage. Because BTS's latest album, ARIRANG, simply refuses to leave the world's biggest music charts. In fact, it has now spent 15 consecutive weeks among Spotify's weekly top albums global. 15 weeks. In today's streaming era, where albums often disappear after only a few weeks, that's extraordinary. Even more incredible, ARIRANG has already reached number one 9 different times this year. No other album has done that in 2026. And although it now sits at number 2 for a third consecutive week, that isn't a sign of slowing down, it's proof of staying power. The title track, Swim, continues performing exceptionally well on Spotify's weekly global songs chart. Meanwhile, multiple album tracks, including Body to Body, Hooligan 2.0, and They Don't Know About Us, have all remained on global charts for the full 15 weeks. That's something many albums never achieve. Usually, one hit song carries an album. Here, listeners continue returning to track after track, again and again and again. That tells us something important. People aren't just streaming one viral single, they're listening to the entire album. That's the difference between a passing trend and an album people genuinely love. And the success doesn't end with Spotify. Across Europe, ARIRANG continues making history. The album has now remained on the UK's official albums chart for 15 straight weeks. Its detailed chart positions continue showing impressive physical sales, strong streaming numbers, and consistent public interest. Even Swim returned to several UK single rankings. A song re-entering the charts weeks after release usually means new listeners are still discovering it, or longtime fans simply refuse to stop playing it. Either explanation is a victory. Germany is telling the same story. ARIRANG remains inside the country's top 10 albums for 15 consecutive weeks. Meanwhile, Australia continues embracing the album as well, where it remains inside the nation's top album rankings and vinyl chart. Different countries, different cultures, different languages. One album, one global audience. But perhaps the most touching news didn't come from a music chart at all. It came from Argentina. The City Council of La Plata unanimously selected BTS as an honorary guest. That may sound ceremonial, but it's actually one of the city's highest official honors. Traditionally, it's reserved for distinguished international visitors, world-renowned cultural figures, and people whose influence extends far beyond entertainment. Why BTS? The council gave several reasons: their cultural impact, their advocacy for young people around the world, their international contributions. In other words, they weren't honored simply because they sell albums. They were honored because of what they represent: music, hope, connection, and positive influence. And here's another historic detail. Later this year, BTS will perform 3 concerts at Estadio Único de La Plata. By doing so, they'll become the first Korean artists ever to perform at that venue. Think about how meaningful that is. A city officially welcoming an artist months before they even arrive. Preparing transportation, security, hotels, infrastructure, not just for a concert, for an event expected to bring thousands of visitors together. That's the kind of impact very few artists can create. Now, let's connect all of these stories. Jin dominates fan voting for 58 straight weeks. His supporters light up giant screens across Seoul. Meanwhile, BTS continues dominating streaming platforms, album charts, physical sales, digital downloads, and concert demand across multiple continents. Then, a city government formally recognizes their global cultural influence. Individually, each headline sounds impressive. Together, they tell a much bigger story. This isn't about one successful comeback. This isn't about one hit album. This is what happens when an artist earns something far more valuable than temporary attention. Trust. People trust Jin. People trust BTS. They know the music will be worth hearing. They know the performances will be unforgettable. They know every comeback brings something meaningful. And because of that, fans don't disappear after release week. They stay. Week after week. Month after month. Year after year. That's why records keep growing. That's why charts remain strong. That's why cities prepare for their arrival like international celebrations. In an industry where attention changes overnight, BTS continues proving that genuine connection lasts much longer than hype. And Jin, his incredible streak reminds us that true popularity isn't measured by one spectacular moment. It's measured by how many people continue choosing you, again and again and again. 58 weeks, 15 consecutive weeks, 9 number 1 rankings, historic honors, historic concerts, different numbers, one message. The story of BTS is still being written. And judging by everything we're seeing right now, its next chapter may be even bigger than the last.